Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Are you ready to pop your cork? In the left corner at 6'4", 242 pounds, with a record of 45-0, the undisputed.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, Will.
Hey, how many bottles of wine have you had?
Well, Will, it's not the wine. I'm just so excited about the podcast.
Yeah, I am too. This is not a boxing match. This is We Know Texas Vino.
So. Welcome back, everyone, to We Know Texas Vino, episode 49. Andy, good to have you here. Will, thanks for joining us. I'm Michael, and we're going to have a great time today. Andy, we've had a good time today in general. Thanks for joining us on this amazing adventure to East Texas.
East Texas. Love it.
Have you spent a lot of time over here?
Not enough.
Okay, yeah.
And, we just learned that there is not, and I quote anybody out there who's an attorney that wants to help out, there is no ADA out there.
Hey, we just learned that. That is amazing. Yeah. And so an attorney, but people who want to rally around that and get something happening down there, I think that'd be great. And that's just surprising for sure. And then Will, we had a great time driving out here today. I know you and I have traveled the state now over a year, going to different wineries and vineyards. Yeah. I know our listeners know that, of course, because they're following us, but it's been a real adventure.
It has.
And fantastic.
This is actually our first chapter of East Texas for this year.
Yeah.
Because we are wanting to focus more East Texas and West Texas this year.
Yeah, get out of the Dallas area a little bit and kind of, spread our wings a little bit, but just meet good people and just, see some amazing, beautiful, geology and geography and all that good stuff. And drink good wine. Yahoo. So we're in episode 49. And of course, our first 48 episodes have been incredible. We're actually here at, we're at Keepersall.
Yeah, we're still at Keepersall.
And we just did a podcast here. So this will be an additional one here at the same. And we're grateful for Kelly and Michelle for inviting us here. Yep. This gentleman we're here with right now who works here, but also has some other fingers on the pulse of what's happening around the state. So we're in the grand room at the winery here at Keepersall in Tyler, Texas.
Bullard / Tyler.
Okay, very good.
Go ahead.
Actually, we have a Tyler address for all the residents that live here, which surprises everyone.
Okay, yeah.
Which probably has to do with where the entrance that they direct you to GPS was initially.
Yes. It was Tyler, even though it now it's Bullard, so David has a Tyler address. Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
It's back to the back where Deliverance was filmed.
Crazy. Well, we're here with Mr. Ron Martin. Nice to meet you, sir. Thanks for joining us today, and we're very grateful. I've heard some really fun things about you, and it's just I'm excited to kind of interview today and ask questions. I know Andy's expressed that as well to us today, so we're having some fun. But before we jump in real quick, Will, let's just review for our listeners everywhere they can reach out to us.
They can find us on WeKnowTexasVino.wine. And find us on Facebook at We Know Texas Vino, both page and group now. And then, of course, you can find us on any podcasting platform out there.
That's perfect. And then we really encourage people to give us a 5-star rating if it's something that they think, added value to their wine knowledge or their excitement or maybe their enthusiasm to get out of their house and go visit Ron over here at Keepersall, whatever it is. If it's something that inspired you, definitely give us a 5-star rating. That looks pretty good on the old chart, doesn't it?
It does.
It's pretty awesome. Good. Yes, indeed. So We Know Texas Vino, episode 49 from Tyler, Texas, or Burleson?
No, Bullard.
Not Burleson's way down south. That's right. Sorry. Okay, I got that.
How much wine have you had?
Yeah, not enough. That's right, south of it. We've been down there. Lost Oak.
Yes.
Lost Oak. Yeah, very good. Yeah, I got it. I got my geography filled out. Okay. So let's go ahead and interview Ron real quick. So Ron, real quick, tell us about yourself and where you're from and why you're here.
Yeah, well, I migrated from South Dakota. Yeah, glad to be in East Texas for sure, especially this week. And we actually retired in the area here, and we're looking to downsize and found the residents out here in Keepersall Estates. It was sort of a dream come true. Little did we know that just down the road was a vineyard and winery, so we took residence here. Surprisingly, I'd been here a couple times, but had no real appreciation for not only this winery, but the Texas wine industry as a whole until about 2014, when we moved here. You can't move to a vineyard and winery. And we actually asked Pierre when we moved here, where do we tell people we moved? Did we move to a vineyard, a winery? And he interrupted and said, you moved to a wine estate.
Wine estate.
I
like that.
There were only at the time three in the United States. So you can't help but get caught up in not only what's going on here but also what's going on in the state eventually. So Unfortunately, Pierre passed away in 2016, and I met Jeff Cope at his memorial service.
Okay.
And sort of things have never been the same since then.
Yeah, and we know Jeff extremely well. I don't know if you know our nickname for Jeff Cope. Do you know that at all?
No,
We'll talk about it here in a minute.
No, I don't.
And then, of course, Amy. And that's kind of actually the next segment here is your relationship with Texas Wine Lover app and website. So Jeff Cope and Amy, they are amazing. And we met them and did a podcast with them down in Fredericksburg. We stayed on Amy's property, actually. But our nicknames, and we're going to have a nickname for you here in a moment, sir. But our nickname for Jeff is the Godfather.
The Godfather.
You
I
like
would
that?
totally support that one.
And then because of Amy's enthusiasm, we gave her the nickname of Wonder Woman, just a connector and does it all and goes for us. So we got Wonder Woman and the Godfather. By the end of this podcast, we'll put our brains together, come up with a great nickname for this gentleman as well. But we'll go ahead and get into your role. What is that role with that amazing business?
So actually, I started out Jeff asked me if I would. Let me back up a little bit, because I got so excited about what was going on in the Texas wine industry that I started visiting wineries as a hobby. And I think to date, I visited about 189 Texas wineries, which sounds impressive, but it's what, 40%?
That's not even, no, it's not even 40%. It's maybe like 10 or 15.
Is that right?
Let's say 20%.
Well, it just keeps getting harder and harder to reach, but had some really, really exciting visits. I've focused mainly on North Texas, little West Texas and Central Texas. I really haven't spent as much time down on 290. So I could probably fairly quickly change the.
You get lost down there, but
yeah, most definitely.
And so, I became sort of an ambassador for Texas Wine Lover, and the key in my finding these great little wineries was Jeff's app and his interactive map and his blogs and all the information made you key on the ones you really wanted to go to. And so it was exciting. Now I'll tell you, my wife probably initially wasn't as excited because our grandkids live in the North Houston area, and I find some very interesting ways to get down to Houston. And she'll say, "Is this a shortcut?" Little knowing that there's a new winery along the way that we just have to stop. So why are we going on Friday instead of Thursday? Well, that winery wasn't open on Thursday. So anyway,
I love it.
Jeff asked me actually to participate in the Texas Now Wine Friends, but back then it was a Texas Wine Lover website, which is a private share group. They had 839 members when I said, and Jeff asked me to help approve membership. We have 6,400 now.
That's awesome.
And, so when you see me at dinner and it looks like I'm on my social media, I'm really approving membership, because our goal is, if you want to be on the membership, get on there quick.
How do you, what does it mean, approving membership?
So it's a private group, and, we actually screen everybody that applies for that membership. We'd like to think that they can contribute to the membership, and there's a lot of scammers out there.
Oh, that's too bad.
That we have to screen out. Some that are very clever at this, and so everybody gets a screen. We try to do that as quickly as possible. So that was my first role. I've really been probably an ambassador for Jeff's groups, the Texas Wine Lover. And then, in fact, you may have seen me visiting with some customers here at Keepersall while you were doing the previous podcast. They went home with this new app.
That's beautiful.
So if you're going to spend time with me and I find out you're interested in wine, I'm going to show you how to find some more great wineries. And so I also do tours here at Keepersall. And if you ever get a chance to do a tour here, you did, Will.
I have, yeah.
To do a tour. It's kind of a very in-depth behind the scenes look at this family and how they accomplished what's here today. But more recently, Jeff and Amy offered to let me write some articles, which I had never done in my life. Probably some of the most stressful thing I've ever done. But the goal is, and Northeast Texas has sort of been underrepresented in the past. So the goal was to find these little wineries where we maybe haven't done blogs on them, or maybe they've changed dramatically since And Jeff did some of these blogs way back in the middle of 2000s.
Wow.
Or like 2015 to 17. So the objective was to find these little wineries and tell their story. And all of these, I mean, very, very interesting stories on these little East Texas wineries, and say to people, hey, there's these great little Texas wineries to visit. Make it easy for them to determine what this little winery is about, what wines they carry. We got to make sure they understand their location, but primarily where they came from, because they all have a great story.
That's really cool. And so one of the benefits of working with not only Jeff and Amy, but also with Texas Wine Lover is you do get to, like, intentionally go to these wineries, right? Isn't that one of the blessings that you get to experience there? And I love your story about making, weird trip designs and different stops in order to attend those things. Reminds me of in marketing, I remember I'd always accept some sort of a speaking invitation if I could stop in a Major League Baseball city and, the Baltimore Orioles were in town or something like that. And it's like, I'll do that one. That's for sure. So very similar for sure. Well, so your role then is ambassador, and then of course your approving membership. So what's maybe the positive experiences overall working with those two, and then also the app? What's some of the cool things that you'll always remember?
Well, Jeff and Amy are never short of ideas.
Okay.
And they're the whole Texas Wine Lover concept, and now the new app, make it so easy to do what I've been doing for just the average person who all they want to do is find the wines. And I visit with many, I do tours here. So I visit with many people, say in the Dallas market, who has no idea there's a great winery that I'm a wine club member of 20 miles down the road.
Yep.
They just didn't know.
Amazing.
And so you put in their hands the resources to come and find that. Now,
Yep.
Jeff would be the first to tell, if anybody asks, where is this, or where do I find this? He'll tell you, go to the app.
Uh-huh.
And that is so true. If you're looking for a particular wine, Negro Mora or Tanat, you're able to search on there and find exactly that.
Well, I put on here the filtering program on there is spectacular.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
There's
It's
so
amazing.
much information and data in that.
And being on the Facebook page myself, and there's daily postings like, they'll say, how can I find, and then XYZ. And literally you see like me and Jeff and a couple other people like, use this app. And not only on that, but also in the but the Fort Worth foodie page, people were posting like, where can I find wine to do XYZ? And I go over here and do the Texas Wine Lover. And then I got banned a couple of times.
Yeah.
Oh, you did.
Well, it's all out there, and thankfully to Jeff and Amy, it's easy to use.
Yeah,
you don't have
easy.
to. I don't miss an opportunity when I'm doing a tour at some point in the tour to say to people, "Hey, if you're interested in Texas,
you need
to download this app."
Just let it slip.
I almost never go through a tour where I don't get somebody.
Yeah.
But part of that is just my excitement about sharing with people what I've been able to discover.
I'm sensing that excitement, and that's so cool as an ambassador to be able to do that. But how satisfying is it to direct traffic there? And that is exponentially going to grow. I mean, there's going to be people who are going to share that all over the world. But I told Jeff when I met him down in Fredericksburg, I said, this is big time. How many other states have something like this? And he's like, I don't know if a state has anything like this. I think Washington's working on something, but do you know that answer?
Not statewide.
Right.
There are wine areas, for instance. Paso Robles has a wine group very similar to Texas Wine Friends that I don't think it's a closed group, but when I visited there, I reached out to that group knowing there had to be something similar to this, and got, I think, 50 responses a day. I just asked the question.
Wow.
Now, Jeff would have said, go to the app.
Exactly.
Just go to the app. It's all
Why are you
on there.
talking on this page? Go to the app.
Yeah, just go to the app. Yeah.
Well, that's so beautiful.
Now, another thing I really like to do, and Will probably has seen this, I like to be the first to a winery that maybe someone isn't aware is even open. I'm trying to think. Lonesome Vine was a good one. And so you're quick to share that wine, and people will say, where is that?
Yeah.
Where do I find that wine?
Yes.
On a share group? So today it was a wine from actually Eden Hill.
Oh yes,
and
I saw that one.
They've come out with a new, really spoof. The label on it is awesome.
I've heard they were doing new labels.
But a brand new red blend. It was a pre-release to wine club members, and you just go look at the responses already. It's like,
fantastic.
Yeah. So you tried
Yeah, that's cool. Well, you'd mentioned like Lonesome Vine. How important is it for an app and an ambassadorship and just that rallying cry to help small wineries like Lonesome Vine? We know the owners there; they're wonderful people, and we're happy they're get excited about life and their future. But how important is that app for a company like that?
Well, for so many of these little wineries, is how do they get the word out? And thankfully, for what Jeff and Amy are doing, they have the perfect tools for them to do that. And so you just look at a new winery that comes on board. I remember when Edge of the Lake came on and that share group, and you have to be a member there on Texas Wine Friends especially Texas Wine Friends or the blog that was written on there and say, wow, that's a winery I want to visit.
Oh, very nice.
And so when I go and I leave, I'm thinking in my mind, what am I going to post from this winery that gets somebody to say, hey, I want to go visit that winery.
Can you give us an example of that? Let's say you stop at a little winery. What's an example of something you've posted to intrigue the wine community?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, there's always some unique wine there, or maybe it's the location, or maybe it's the story. So you try to bring that out in the post. And now that I'm doing some writing in East Texas, you try to bring that out in the story and say, you want people to read that and say, wow, I want to go visit that. There's a couple wineries just within 5 miles of here.
Okay.
And, wrote the story, and people that are here that are active in that can say, wow, I visited Keepersall, but here's another one.
Perfect.
I like the story. Let's go visit that.
That's so cool. And it's that cooperative effort across the state. We notice here in Texas, I don't know how the wine community is up there in South Dakota, but here in Texas, we noticed that.
Do you like ice wine?
Well, I know I have a friend up in Alaska who made, what kind of wine they make up there? Blueberry wine, raspberry wine, and dandelion wine, I think.
It's basically fruit wine. There are a couple hybrid grapes that survive the winter.
Okay.
Better than I did. Because obviously I'm not up there anymore.
Roger that. Well, you're here for a reason, right? Yeah. So that's exciting. And so I wrote down here also, you're a certified specialist of Texas wines. What does that mean?
Well, Russ Kane has a program that allows you to go through a program that he has and become certified. And what you're doing in that course is basically learning. A lot of it is about learning about the Texas wine industry. Studying the AVAs, studying the different grapes that they grow, studying the history of how this industry came to be. Right. And so you can either just observe the class or you can test through it. And I chose to test through it.
Yeah. So you're actually a certified member. That's pretty cool. Yeah. And you as well. I thought you mentioned that. Yeah.
Congratulations.
And then, Andy had mentioned earlier about the AVA. What are your thoughts about not having an AVA here in this community?
Well, sadly, when you come up here to Keepersall and you look at the area, what the uniqueness of the terrain and all this here, you say to yourself, there's got to be some way to identify this area as a special. So you can put, well, if you're not in an AVA, a state winery, a state winery means nothing.
Texas.
Yeah. You can't identify that as an estate wine. And so they've in the past, I understand, continued to look for a reason to do that. The problem probably here is the number of wineries in concentration.
We need more vines planted, more wineries to pop up in this area in order for the AVA to be taken seriously.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, we were just trying to tell Kelly, who's one of your peers and your teammates here, that she should go down to Austin and lobby and be a legislative, mover and shaker down there and we get something happening. But we'll see. I
hope that happens.
Well, maybe
here,
you should be doing that as well, young man.
Don't count that out. We love to do it.
Yeah. Well, we've heard, again, great things about what you're doing, and already this interview, I can tell you're a sharp gentleman and you're passionate about what you're trying to accomplish here.
He's very passionate. He's a very good man. I mean, the first time I met him was at the Piney Woods Festival.
Okay.
And just meeting him, it was like we were long lost friends. It was just very easy to get along with, start talking.
I can tell.
He even tried to run me over when we got in the parking lot.
Andy and I will do that here later tonight.
We can arrange it.
Well, I'm fortunate to be associated. I'm actually a volunteer with Keepersall.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Marnell and I always say I work for wine here. And so a good day for me is I've probably been asked to participate in almost every aspect of what goes on here at Keepersall. And that's exciting. It gives me credibility when I get out into the marketplace. You show a card that says Keepersall Ambassador. It has meaning to people because Keepersall, no matter where I've been, what part of the state I've been, Keepersall has a great reputation.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah.
And I wanted to bring up a point you mentioned earlier about ambassador So you're ambassador for Texas.
Well, I like to think that I promote Texas wine.
Right.
And I'm an ambassador for Keepersall, certainly. But I think I go beyond. I
Texas Wine Lover, kind of by virtue of being a Texas Wine Lover app user, creator, part of this deal, you also by extension become an ambassador for Texas Wines.
Right.
No?
It's almost a benefit not to be an employee of Keepersall, because I have credibility beyond that. And you will not find a winery I haven't visited that I haven't promoted.
That's beautiful.
Well, and to that point, I was curious, what would you say is your favorite in the last, let's just go with the last 24 months. Let's not go too far back, or even last 12 months.
Oh, wow.
Your favorite vineyard, winery.
Yep.
It's not going to, this is obviously, just off the cuff.
I couldn't get it down to one location. What I think I would say, what's your favorite experience?
Okay.
That you've done, or what were some of your favorite wines that you've discovered in the?
Well, for example, you said you were at Lonesome
Vine.
So you don't have to say that was my favorite, but for example, that's just an example.
Yeah.
So you drove up to, let's say you drove up to Highway 82 and you went east and west on 82 and you tried XYZ, for example.
Well, it's a natural, and that's part of Jeff's app is to design a when you're on the trail, you're designing a 3 or 4 winery visit. And I was up in the Arcade, Blue Ostrich,
St.
in that area, and said, oh my gosh, here's one just down the road, another 15, 20 minutes. And so I came back with a bottle of Smitten, which was my favorite wine. How I remember the name. And Will, I think you like that one too.
Yeah, I actually asked if I can do a loan payment on 9 bottles.
And so my goal was to both share what my favorite wine in that experience was, but to share the excitement of there's a new winery out. And I think I said there's a new kid in town on that,
good.
which I encourage anybody that's got that on their regular trail up there is to add that one, because it's an easy stop.
And what is that one?
The
Lonesome Vine.
Yeah, Lonesome Vine.
That's really cute. Yeah, we've been there.
And to what your question you asked, what is your best experience with what winery? And it's kind of hard even for me to even say that, because each winery we've been to for the last year, it's each experience to each winery is different. I mean, if you want to talk about in, let's say, a 70-mile radius of where we're at right now, I mean, I could think about Live Happy Lane. I could think about Cedar Hollow. I could think about Moody. I could think about, Enoch. There's several different ones that we've been to that the experience is going to be different according to what they want to put in place. I mean, Rossini was going to Rossini was even an experience on its own,
right?
Just driving there.
Yeah. And to me, that's the greatest thing that we do, Ron, with the podcast. We can go all these places, but we have yet to go to a winery where there's not something unique about that winery, right?
Exactly.
And so I was asking, what sets you apart? But really, that's kind of a silly elementary question, because every winery understands, generally, unless you just don't understand business, you have to have something unique about that winery.
I always get the question, where is the best wine? Okay. I could tell you, I'm members of 5 Texas wineries. So you would start with those. It's about the experience, and one experience may be different this time than it is the next time. But for instance, I may have an opportunity to sit down with the winemaker the next time I'm there, or the owner while I'm there, and so you have a whole different experience than just going somewhere and tasting wine.
Yeah. And that's really cool too. I know with my kids, Will, my kids, and they're like, well, Dad, what do we get you for Christmas or your birthday or Father's Day? I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I just want experiences. And I have yet to go to this tipping point where I'm like, just buy me wine at wineries and I'll go there.
That's a great gift.
But I do think I did tell them experiences. So for me, the wine is always fantastic. But I think you and I are wired a lot alike there. Probably all 4 of us. Man, go experience the staff. You can meet some great staff members. You can meet someone like Andy who is knowledgeable. You can drink good wine. You can have the view. I mean, these are just so many cool things.
My son figured it out finally, because the other day it's always a struggle. What do you get Dad for Christmas?
Right, yes.
Or Dad for birthday? And he finally said, you know what, Dad? I think next year I'm just going to take you to a winery. We're just going to go visit a winery in the Houston area. You go visit Newsom, down.
Your kids figured it out. My kids have not figured it out yet.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out.
Give them a list.
Yeah, give them a list.
Yeah.
So I could tell you, if you go down the hill country, there's 2 wineries that every time I think about it, always sticks out. The experience that they gave us was Slate Theory because that big cave that they have.
That was unique.
That was
I'm a member there.
That was a very unique.
You're a member there. Oh, interesting.
That's a really good place.
Probably the most outstanding tasting I've ever done. I mean, that one just stands out. And I always tell people, if you're going there, you got to do the cave tasting.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
It's
was your tasting in the cave? Coincidentally,
you have the option, but do the cave.
Yes.
No, we
do the cave.
We
It's
recorded
amazing.
down there in the cave.
we did a podcast from there. Yeah.
And
So we had an experience in West Texas back before West Texas was really
West Texas
known to be a spot to go and visit wineries. Back in the early day, where half of the tastings we did were in the barrel room.
Yeah.
Where
Those
they
are the
bring
fun
out some
ones.
bottles and you stack. They said, "I hope you don't mind. We're going to go to the barrel room and do the tasting."
That's fun.
Oh,
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, we're not going to argue with that.
Twist my arm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Another one of my favorite experiences that I had also, and again, I'm only picking these out because those are like right on top of my head. I mean, every one of our experiences is great, but even going to Hilmy and open that big old door to get in there, and that's that big hinge, that center hinge door. I feel like I was kind of going to a medieval castle, because of the way it was, and I was actually afraid to get hit by the door because it was so big.
My first trip to West Texas, I actually got introduced by an industry source and an active member of the Texas Wine Lover at the time. And my first stop was Triple D Winery. And they had, this person had set me up enough. So they had us as guests of theirs they owned a restaurant that was kind of known as when it came in harvest time, all the harvesters would come in, and it wasn't unusual to see the winemakers in there with the mud on their face. But I sat beside Ty Wilmoth for lunch. My very first stop at the
nice.
How special!
That is.
Totally sorry. That's amazing. That's fantastic. That's cool. Well, to follow up on Andy's question though, real quick. So you have already reached out to 189. I think you said wineries. What's kind of your goal here in the next year or two as an ambassador, but also enthusiast?
Yeah. Well, I think I've had to slow down a little bit because I think in the next year I want to focus more on Northeast Texas.
Okay.
And in fact, Jeff and I talked the other day about 3 or 4 small ones, some of which are just completing their tasting rooms that need their story told.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's gonna. Some of them are in deep East Texas, where it's going to take me 2 hours to drive to one single winery.
So
From here?
Yeah.
So one of it is what, Huntsman?
Well, there's Huntsman. There's Twisted Pine.
Yeah, Twisted
up in
Pine, yeah.
Marshall.
Yep.
There's I'm trying to remember the Piney Woods down in Hempstead.
Oh wow!
Which is one that Jeff told me about the other day. But
Very
they
cool.
need their stories
Yes,
told
they do.
because
So-
people aren't driving by those wineries.
If we definitely need to get their contact information, so when they get ready to open, we can get episodes with them.
I would say this: look at Jeff's wine app. Jeff will be one of the first to have that information. And if you posted that, he would probably post the app that says, "Just go to Texas Wine Lover app."
I've
got it in there.
I want to do that just for the fun of it.
Yeah. We should all do it and see if we get the same answer, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we're always out there looking for a new one. And I think I found one in Dripping Springs one time at a restaurant
Okay.
at a restaurant called Tilly's. And I look at the wine menu, and there was a vineyard there. And I looked at the wine menu, and there's 4, I think they had 4 wines. And their wines were made at Bending Branch, but they brew their own grapes. Not on anybody's scope. In fact, I don't think officially it's listed yet, but great wines, great restaurant.
That's
totally
fun.
off the.
We've all talked about how much fun we have, whether it's Andy doing his wino guy and his teaching and his connecting, whether it's us with the podcast, you with the ambassadorship. But aren't we all pretty blessed to be meeting these great people? And this is a great example right here at Keep Yourself. My first time here.
Oh my gosh.
Great people.
I always start off with everybody else, but I still have great wine experiences here at my home winery. I mean, just doing the tours. I'll give you an example of one
Sure.
that I did a tour, and one of the members was really turned on by what Keeper Saul was doing, and he said, "I'm going to make some wine at home." And he said, "We'll appreciate this." And 2 weeks ago, Saturday, he calls me and said, "Hey, I've got a bottle of wine I want to bring you," and he delivered a bottle of Sauvignon Blanc that he had made. And I'm telling you, very good for the first try.
Darn.
But he was inspired through the tour and visit to Keeper Saul. So many good things that happen here.
Mm-hmm.
This is this particular winery is more of a destination. There aren't many like it,
Right.
where you can come and spend, a lot of time. And, on the other end, we have the distillery side of this business here. So much to learn here. And so I've just been blessed to be able to be exposed to everything that's going on here, because they do it right here. I'm telling you.
Well, it's pretty apparent that you moved to an area to benefit your family and kind of maybe your retirement dreams, that sort of thing. But how blessed is Keepersall to have a man who with so much energy and knowledge to be able to contribute to what they're trying to accomplish. It's just perfect. It's harmony. It really is great.
Yeah. Well, Marnell and I always say, I want to owe you more than you owe me. And so as long as that relationship goes both ways,
yes,
it's a great relationship.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What did you do professionally before you did this?
I was the COO of a telecommunications company.
Okay.
And in fact, that really kind of it lended into why I like promoting these small, especially the small wineries, because I was for a while, we built 5,000 miles of rural cable television in all these little small towns. And all these little guys are trying to figure out this industry and learn how to do this. Very much like the infancy of the Texas wine industry. So I have a heart for being on that end of the startup business on that end. And it just pleases me to be able to say to somebody who's just getting into the business,
yes,
here's where you want to go.
Yeah.
You got to come and visit these people.
And I'm kind of, from what you just said, that statement right there, and kind of getting to know you a little bit, I have a feeling one of your passions, and correct me if I'm wrong, is to get a hold of those little guys and just uplift them. Really give them that enthusiasm to be successful in Texas, right? Isn't that one of the things that stirs you?
They may not know that's what I'm doing, but I leave there trying to create some excitement.
Yeah, for sure.
And showing them that there's some avenues out there to get some exposure to that. Now, not all of them embrace that, and you just have to accept that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it is. But you know what?
And that's our point of our podcast here, is get the little people out there, because the bigger locations have done their marketing. They got everything out there. And it's the little ones that need that help, that, hey, let's tell people about us or them, so that way we can get people into the doors.
Well, I have a great opportunity in Northeast Texas to do that, because the majority of the wineries in Northeast Texas are very small.
Yeah.
And when you go there, you're going to visit with the winemaker and usually the owner.
Yeah, usually they're the tasting room. They're the organizers. Right. They're doing everything in the vineyard. So there's no doubt about that. I think it's kind of special though here in Texas, because I've always kind of been around the bigger. I'm a West Coast boy, so whether it's California, Oregon, or Washington, kind of around the bigger industries. So be here with that grassroots family dynamic is really fun. I'm sure you appreciate that as well.
And kind of tying together what am I going to do in the next year? I probably am going to spend a little more time in Fredericksburg on 290. So if you tie those two things together, there's the small little North and East Texas wineries, and then I sort of fulfill I could get to 225 probably without too much work by the end of the year.
Well, I'm excited to hear about that.
The number's not as important as I'm sure there's some great experiences along the way.
I think we need to join him.
Yes, we do. Another collaboration.
Yeah.
This is the year of collaborations, right, Andy?
My wife's a real gamer. She'll visit with the best of them. Not so much on the way to Houston to see the grandkids, though. She's
priorities.
kind of hurry to see
right
that
there.
thing. Yeah, you better only do one.
I don't have grandkids yet, but I suspect that might be a draw.
It's a draw.
It's a draw.
And then when I get there, it's like, hey, I've got 2 or 3 hours this afternoon. I think the grandkids are sleeping.
No, I love it.
Maybe I could sneak off to a couple of these wineries in Montgomery County.
Let's bring the grandkids to the winery.
Then I
rebel. We got a rebel, a South Dakota rebel over here.
Then I get that look like,
I know.
No.
Do you respect? I get that look sometimes too.
Kids could wake up any minute.
I love it. Well, it sounds like you're having a lot of fun. Can I ask you a more serious question? I think this is something we all are interested in. We're getting to feel the vibe for what's happening in Texas right now, and it sounds like you've been throughout California, probably around the world. But what's happening in Texas, and are you excited about what you've seen so far in the last couple of years? Can you maybe give us maybe a thermometer how you feel things are going?
I don't have as much perspective on the big picture. I think on the grape side, on the vineyard side, there's probably more going on than on the winery side.
Okay.
And so I think one of the things to watch, especially in areas like East Texas, are some of the new hybrid varietals that can sort of overcome some of the the hard parts about growing grapes in East Texas, North Texas, where disease and weather are more affected by that. So
absolutely, yeah, that's cool. And did you have a question about that?
Not yet.
Okay, not yet.
I
So
was thinking about something else, but he just answered it.
he did answer. Yeah, isn't that funny how he's been answering all my questions too, which is good. That's a
like
good
that.
interview.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was researching you, I saw your name next to Ron Yates.
Yeah.
Why is that? What's the relationship there?
Other than visiting with him at Spicewood, I have none. I was
interesting.
fortunate enough to, on my first visit to Spicewood, Ron was there.
Okay.
And, a lot of these winemakers, owners are very accessible. Even in spite of me being someone from Keepersall in Northeast Texas, I got a good perspective of that.
Okay.
And Ron Yates gets around quite a bit down in the Hill Country.
I know. His name's huge down there.
Him and John Robinbow and who's the other one down there?
I met John when I was my first visit to Astris. He was actually out helping on the vineyard side.
Right.
And we spent some time talking about that.
And so there's one other, not William Chris, but there's one other winemaker down there that all three of them always seem like they're floating around to starting a new winery. I'd be like, oh, Ron Yates has got this new winery. And then all of a sudden, 2 years later, oh, he's got another winery. And I'm like, wow, how's he doing all this?
Funny, yeah. Well, I just noticed that your names were connected a few times when I was researching. I didn't know if there was a brotherhood or something going on there, but that's
I'm too busy to get too connected to all these people, right? I can't spend too much time in any one area and location.
When we get down here, he's done with us.
Yeah. That's right. That's what he's done for sure.
I'll watch you on Texas Wine Friends.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Perfect. Well, it sounds like you have set yourself up for success across the board. Not only a great career, it sounds like, and you probably did pretty well moving here, of course. But normally this question would make maybe a little more sense, but to you, because I think you have all your ducks in a row. What are some of your goals maybe here as a retiree, but also a volunteer? What are some of your goals here next year or so?
I mean, I'm experiencing them. I think I'm just going to continue to do what I want to be as good of ambassador for this industry as I can. I want to be as good of ambassador for my home winery, Keepersall, because I live right down the street.
Yeah.
There's unfortunately, there's only 67 of us that live in this neighborhood.
Wow.
But it's a great place to live.
Yeah.
And
wine estate.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
On a wine estate.
Yeah. I knew that question was maybe not going to be totally appropriate for you just because you have some pretty cool things going on. But yeah, I bet you're just excited about the future then. And the ambassadorship, you've embraced that. So how many other ambassadors are working in that role? Or are there Jeff and Amy?
You look at Jeff and Amy's team.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number. It's 14.
Oh, that
comes
many.
to mind.
Something like that.
And just, I mean, Jeff, if on Texas Wine Friends, you see the people that post day after day after day.
Yeah.
I probably post
Lorinda posts
4 to 5 out of 7 days a week.
Okay.
Yeah, Lorinda always posts the poll questions.
Lorinda, the Lori Wares.
Yep.
They're always getting the word out. So there's a lot of ambassadors out there.
Very nice.
Maybe not as fortunate as I've been because I did this in retirement where this is my job and I never looked at it as a career or a job. It's what I love doing.
Yeah.
So
It's a hobby.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even a hobby. It's just like a passion. You wake up thinking about it and probably go to sleep thinking about it.
But I think most hobbyists, they're passionate about what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And so my wife puts it this way. She said, I thought you retired.
Right.
I said, well, I could do woodworking or I could do.
Is there a golf course on the estate?
No, you don't need to
golf course.
Be too distracted from that.
I know.
No.
How much time do you spend here on maybe a couple days a week, or how's that work?
It depends on what's going on during harvest. I have worked harvest almost every day since 2017 was my first harvest here.
Wow.
So a good day for me could be, I've just got done mowing. I may be having a beer. And the phone rings and I see it's Marnell. And she says, what are you doing? And I always say, nothing. And she may say, I'm here. I got maybe the best red wine Keepersall's ever put out. You think you could come and taste it? And I said, Marnell, I'm already just around the corner.
Yeah, that's a rough.
See you in a minute.
I will be on my lawnmower, right? Plenty.
Rough phone call, huh?
Yeah. Again, very blessed to be exposed to what Marnell and her team are doing here.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Any other questions?
And I'm passionate about when I do tours, getting the behind the scenes story, because the family story here is how they got from South Africa
Mhm.
to where we are today is amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm when I tell it, I still almost get emotional about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I understand they've written a book about that as well. Is there
Yeah.
like a book or something? Okay. Yeah. I'll have to check that out.
We the Power of Three.
We the Power of Three. Okay. I'll check that out for sure.
Yeah.
No, the only question I have is actually more of a statement. Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys.
I know you're a big fan.
Well, grew up a Minnesota Viking. Then I moved down here. They
We're all
they
not
won
perfect.
2 Super Bowls. So I think the Cowboys have lost, or the Vikings lost 3 in a row, and I easily switched my loyalty and haven't switched.
I would call that being a bandwagon type of a guy, but you do live in Texas now, so
Yeah,
I'm going
but
to give you the
it's
benefit of the
been-
doubt.
I switched in like the early 90s. So,
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
the bandwagon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when
Yeah,
Tom
I
Landry was
stuck.
still a coach,
I
and
stuck. Yeah,
You
yeah.
were still here.
Yeah.
You were here.
Yeah. Well, just for the record, I'm a Dolphins fan, and I've had misery in my life for
and
the
we
last 30
we make
years.
tuna out of him.
Yeah.
Well,
It's not good. So,
I'm a Nebraska Husker fan on
Go
the college
Huskers.
side. So
Yeah.
I just this year brought my T-shirts out again.
Very
but
nice.
It's been kind of dismal too.
yeah. I actually met Tom Osborne years ago. I had a really cool
Great
function
man.
in New York City. Yeah, it
Great
was really
man.
cool. Yeah. Was he the governor of Nebraska, or did he not quite get there? Or senator?
He was a senator.
Senator, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, but he's a cool guy. I really liked him a lot.
I actually do have another question real
Sure.
quick. Through your Texas wine lover and then all your travels, I asked you about your favorite experience. Okay, maybe that was just too broad. How about your favorite varietal?
I'm a dry red. I keep expanding that because I
See, that's too big of a question.
yeah.
Also,
I mean, give me a Negro Moro, but they're it's hard to find those
Uh-huh.
anymore because it's such a blending grape. But I had one the other day, and I can't remember even how to spell it. I posted of Mr. Mischief at Eden Hill, and there was a wine varietal in there called Refusco or something like that.
Frigo or
Yeah, never
Yes.
heard of that one. Never heard of it. Now, in a blend, I'm not tasting that, but so
Right.
I'm always on the search for a new blend. A dry red.
So check out Square Cloud.
Oh, I've been to Jackson's. Yeah. Great Tempranillo.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
and has Montepulciano's. Oh,
So now I've not had. I need to go back there.
yeah, and and he actually has something really unique that I've never seen any other winery do. And I like his nickname. They call him the Mad Scientist. And we were sitting there doing our episode, and I kept noticing these cherry balls he kept putting in people's wine glasses, and I'm like, why are you putting cherries in people's wine glasses? And he goes, those are oak balls.
Oak
and
balls.
I'm like,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
To give it more oak taste.
I never, because he says he doesn't age anything in oak barrels. He says if you have to do that, that's just adding unneeded flavor and taste and profiles to it. When sometimes it just needs just a little bit of oak, not a lot.
Yeah.
And when he did that, I mean, it just kind of blew my mind.
Yeah. There was
Clever.
another one up in the McKinney area that they've since closed, but he was similar with oak chips.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Where are your oak barrels?" And he said, "No, don't." And I was drinking one of his wines that had won a medal, so he made great wines. But Jackson, the story I have, this is years ago. One of my first, probably in my top 20 visits, so it was early on. I had been to Eden Hill, and I went down the road to Square Cloud, and Jackson met me at the door, and he said, "Come on in." He said, "My tastings are free." I think that's changed, but he said, "My tastings are free
He did
because
have to change it.
if
Yeah.
you can't find a wine in here that you will buy, you don't owe me anything." I never
Wow.
forgot that.
Yeah, I think he had to change that because some people were taking advantage of what he said.
yeah,
But no, that was
yeah.
cool that he did that.
Yeah.
I thought that was very eye opening.
Yeah.
Actually, that's
Well,
cool.
in the early days, that
Sure.
might be what you got to do to get people.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I only found him. That was before my Texas wine lover days. I only found him because I always ask the question, when you're at the winery you're at, is where should I go next?
Mhm.
And
Yep.
that's the only way I found Jackson.
Okay,
Wow.
that's really cool.
And-
Sadly, I have visited all these wineries there, and there are many I'd like to get back to, but my goal is
Right.
The 225 or whatever. Yeah, right.
So
That's cool.
It is.
Well, I have two more questions, and then the boys hop in here if you want to. But one of them is your experiences now. 189 wineries. You're here, this great winery here. What are, in your opinion, being here since 2017? I think you said. What do you see as the greatest obstacle for perhaps new wine ownership and winemaking?
And then
I would say, first of all, I'm sorry, were you going to add?
and then I was going to add to that also, even for new wine drinkers.
Yeah.
That really opened it up.
On the winemaker, on the what are their obstacles? I think part of it is acquiring grapes.
Oh,
Yeah, I find many wineries one of the first questions they ask me when I'm out and find out I'm from Keepersall is, do you all sell grapes? So they have a real, and I'm always a stickler. I can't count a winery if they don't have at least 2 Texas wines. That's just my rule. If I go there, they have no Texas.
That's our rule too.
Texas wines. I don't count it as a group, even though their wines may be good. And your part of the question was what?
For new wine drinkers, what kind of obstacles do you overcome with new wine drinkers? Because going out, especially like the festivals and stuff like that, you see all these new wine drinkers that are just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I think first of all, they don't know where to go. And my point in Dallas, Saturday's a big Dallas day here, and when I do a tour, I'm amazed at people who I met someone the other day from Rockwall who didn't know about San Martino in Levant. What is that? 15 mile? Yeah. They knew about Rossini, but they hadn't put that one together.
Wow.
They left here with the app.
Okay.
Actually, she's posted already on Texas Wine Friend.
Look at there.
So you just got to do them kind of one at a time.
Yeah.
So and I think the other thing is people get stuck on, this is what I drink.
Yes.
I don't drink. I drink sweet wines. Now, what Marnell would say about that is, you drink what tastes good to you.
Yes.
But at the same time, my wife and I were not big white wine drinkers. We were dry reds. I started with Pinot, by the way. Made my wife come all the way back from Cab to Pinot.
Very nice move.
Went forward. but we have purposely, in the past year, sort of paired our wines with food, which many times required us to go the white way, and we enjoy white wines now. So we sort of expanded our palate a lot. We found some good whites out there.
Well, I found that all the great wineries and tasting rooms want to expand that a little bit. So people like yourself or your staff behind the bar, or they're, having them, that's like the free tastings at Square Cloud. I mean, that's an important thing for people to get out of their comfort zone and try things. And certainly my palate has grown because of that. And I think it's just important. So very, very good point.
But also, if you tell me you like a Tempranillo, not every Tempranillo tastes the same. There's a broad range of
what does OG have? Like 6 different Tempranillos up there?
7, I think.
7 different Tempranillos.
So you may have had somebody who thought they didn't like Tempranillo, but they didn't taste Jackson's Tempranillo up at Square Club.
Sure.
Absolutely. I remember a couple of times I've tasted some Tempranillo and I'm like, oh, and then I take. Well, actually, you know what? A good example of this is Tannat. I drank a Tannat from one winery, and I was like, I do not like this. Remember the conversation?
Yeah, I do.
And then we went down to Rustic Spur and had Shiraz Tannat, and I got 2 bottles of hers.
Yeah. My first Tannat was Bending Branch. It was lovely. To this day, that's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, my very first one I drank was so earthy. It just didn't go well in my mouth.
Like I said, sometimes you got to say, well, let me try this one because this could be in my range.
That's why you do it.
Yeah.
And to your point, it is personal, and Marnell's correct. But the other side of that is if you don't taste it, then what? How can you ever? It'd be like saying I only eat russet potatoes. That's it. I won't try gold. I won't try red. I won't try. Really? That is so illogical.
You're missing out, right? You're missing out on a great opportunity for growth.
I think what I would say to them is just get out and try it.
Yeah.
Just get out. Try it.
Yeah. Swing the bat. Right?
Swing the bat.
Yeah, swing the bat. Well, good. My last question, and then boys, chime in for sure. But traveling around now, what's your vibe? What's your feel with what Texas is doing in the wine industry? Do you feel like that's really going in a good direction?
Well, are you talking about nationally?
Big, I sure do.
We had our 50th wedding anniversary in Paso Robles. And what we found there were a lot of people were excited and interesting about whether they could come back, whether there was career opportunities in Texas.
Wow.
They sort of compared the Paso market to Texas.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's encouraging.
That is encouraging.
Yeah. And so that's why I think you see a lot of California Paso Robles wineries coming and relocating.
We're seeing a lot of that.
There's some controversy about that. But hey, that's the other thing is Texas Wine Friends is not about just Texas wine.
Yep.
It's about
camaraderie.
Friends.
Texans who love wine.
Yeah.
I will tell you, when I post, I get about a third of the comments and likes on a Paso Robles wine as I do on a Texas.
Oh, interesting.
Because I think there's some almost resentment to that.
Yeah. Well, like Serrano, they're from Paso Robles. And
Been to Serrano, one of my.
And they're actually converting. So they said I think this was their last year, or next year will be their last year of getting grapes from Paso, and they're all going to be 100% Texas.
Wow.
I visited Serrano when they had just opened, and we actually did almost an outdoor tasting.
Oh, that's funny.
And I bought, honestly, we tasted 5 wines. I bought them all. Their wines were
we enjoyed it. How many we buy there?
Wouldn't it be funny is if he was there the day that we showed up there and miscommunication happened, and we didn't get to do them that first weekend we were
because they were doing that. They were doing that tasting under that half
outside.
So.
That's funny. Oh, that's awesome. Well, cool. And so you feel like the vibe's good. I mean, most people we're talking to really feel excited about the potential.
Yeah, well, I think there's that other crowd that says, "Oh, Texas wine. They've never tried it. They're not going to try it." Well, we have that in Tyler, Texas,
sure,
where people. It's almost when you're here on a Saturday when I do a tour, it's interesting to see that not many people are here from Tyler, or I've lived here for 20 years and it's my first trip here, because they have this attitude that if it's not a Napa Valley wine,
right,
it's really just not.
Well, Napa did a great job marketing for 40 or 50 years, and that Napa cab, everyone wants the Napa cab, right? So you go to the local grocery store, and what do you go after right away? Because you and I are both red wine drinkers. We go for the Napa cab. Well, I've outgrown that. I'm not a grocery store wine shopper. I'm a local shopper now because that's just, my migration or my evolution. But that is for sure. So you're saying that most of the people you're seeing here, especially on the tours, are not even from Tyler. They're from around the state.
Dallas, Shreveport, Houston.
That's amazing.
Saturdays are huge days. I really think part of that is, Marnell might disagree with me, but I think during the COVID days, people learned about the day trip. And Tyler's, hour and a half, same with Shreveport. Houston, we have people that come up from Houston, spend the day at the winery, eat dinner, and drive back. If they're in North, like the Woodlands area.
It's exciting.
So,
No, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Anything else there, Will? You feel good?
I love talking to Ron. Ron's a great guy.
Yeah. Well, then, Ron, Andy, anything you want?
I'm good.
All right. Well, just share your heart then, buddy. What do you want to tell our listeners? What do you want to tell the state of Texas?
Well, what I would tell you is I'm almost a reverse wine snob. I talk about the Californians, but I go into a restaurant, and if they don't have Texas wines in there, I ask them why.
Good.
I said, and even Tyler, I said, you've got 5 wineries right around here. You don't have a single Texas wine. So, but what I would tell people is go out and try it.
Yeah.
Visit some of these wineries. And here's an easy way to do that. Get off your comfort zone and try some of these wines that you've never tried before.
Yep.
Because the Texas wine industry is different from a lot of things that are going on in California.
Yep.
Our grape varietals,
Yep.
some of that. If you've never had a Montepulciano, which is one of my favorite grapes, try it. It's a great wine.
Yeah, for sure. And that app is I know we've talked about it extensively here, but boy, what a handy thing. I think I should be instinctual now. Do we just tell them, go to the app?
Yeah.
Like Jeff Coate.
Well, I just think the end result of that was incredible.
Yes.
For what they had. And I remember the day Jeff first sent it to me, it was in a test thing, and I'm going, wow.
Mm-hmm. How
did
amazing. He do that? Yeah, that's incredible.
And to get it pretty much right.
Yeah, for sure.
The first time.
Well, we're grateful, sir. What a pleasure meeting you. I know we will bump into you again, probably another podcast down the line. But anytime you need anything, make sure we know Texas Vino can help you out, and we'll definitely showcase forever.
Or come and do a tour of mine.
I would love that.
I'll probably pitch the wine app at the end.
I'll be ready for it.
Actually, what we'll do is you'll pitch the app and we'll pitch the podcast.
There we go.
It's a good, cool collaboration. Well, good. Well, as we wrap it up here, Will, what's kind of a good takeaway from this gentleman today?
Ron's always been a really great guy. Multiple times we've talked over text and even met in person and stuff. He's a really knowledgeable man, and he is very, just like we are so passionate about our Texas wine because, if we don't talk about it, who is?
Right. That's cool. And Andy, how about yourself?
I love the fact that he's from South Dakota.
Yeah, that's in my notes, actually.
First of all, South Dakota, and fell in love, apparently, obviously, with the Texas wine.
The weather first.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how you have gravitated and now are exceedingly excited about what's going on here.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic.
And that actually leads right into my takeaway, which is we need about 50 more of Rons in this community to get out there and be ambassadors and really showcase that. Yeah. And I love the fact that you're really focusing on those small ones, those small little wineries that need your embrace. They need you, they need to join your arm and just say, okay, let's get this notarized and get out there and do some cool things. So I'm really proud of you for doing that, brother.
When you go to those small wineries, we don't have cards on us, but tell them about us, have them contact us so we can put them on our list this year.
Let's go showcase them.
Leave me with some cards. That's actually
the best way to do it.
Jeff figured that out a while back when he realized I was selling the tour. So Jeff ended up sending me a bunch of his cards. I just hand them out.
Yeah, we'll do that for you for sure.
Yeah, I come by quite often.
Cool. All right. Well, let's real quick review our sponsors. The first one is a unique one. It's called Texas Wine Club down in Fredericksburg, right?
That's a good one. Texas Wine Lover?
I was going to say Texas Wine Lover app is one of our sponsors. Actually, I call them our partnerships. So Texas Wine Club down in Fredericksburg. Check them out, folks. They're wonderful. Flywithwine.com. They're one of our newest sponsors, of course, with solving wine shipping problems and dilemmas. We actually have one of their suitcases. A lot of fun. Go check it out. It's such a cool company. And I think they were just on a program, weren't they?
Yeah. Shark Tank.
Shark Tank. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And the last one is the gentleman I'm seeing. He's on my right now, the wino guy, Andy Gonzalez, and wine enthusiast, guided wine events, very intelligent, blind tastings. He's teaching us a lot. We're actually doing an event with him in February, which we'll talk more about in future podcasts, but we're very grateful to have that partnership as well.
Tickets on sale pretty soon.
That's right. So quotes. You guys ready for quotes real quick? Oh my gosh, here we go. Let's get it done.
So how much alcohol have you had? How much wine have you had?
I haven't had any of them.
Okay. So you might appreciate these. Actually, these are easier. These are not deep like the last couple of podcasts. So the first one is I hope I haven't done it already, but I really like it. I only drink champagne when I'm happy and when I'm sad. Sometimes I drink it when I'm alone. Sometimes I drink it when I have company, and sometimes I consider it obligatory if I don't. I trifle if I'm not hungry, and I drink when I am not. Otherwise, I never touch it unless I'm thirsty. Does that sum it up?
I think you covered it.
W.C. Field.
Yeah, it was W.C. Field. That's funny. Okay. I don't think it was funny. And my last one's even more. It's perfect for the four of us here. Making good wine is a skill. Making fine wine is an art. So that is a compliment to the people here at Keeper Salt. But listen, we're grateful to have this amazing venue to be doing our podcast in. Ron, thank you for your time and dedication to what you're trying to accomplish here. Andy, always a pleasure. Will, always a pleasure as well. So this is We Know Texas Vino from Tyler, Texas.
This is Will.
This is Michael.
Wino guys, salute.
Cheers.